Okay. All right, what I'd like to do is spend the rest of our time focused on this idea of feedback and how important it is leading up to the review and just doing this consistently. So we're gonna do an example here. All right, who's ever been to California? Awesome. Has anyone ever driven to California from Georgia? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I looked it up the other day. It is 2,270 miles from Berry College to the LA Coliseum. So if we were going to see a football game there, imagine it's spring break. You're with your friends or family. There's no COVID. Everything's exciting. You're going on a trip. We're going to road trip from Berry to LA. There's only one catch. Your car has blacked out windows, so you can't see anything outside of your car. How far do you think you'll get? I see folks shaking heads. You're probably going to take off the arm that comes down, the Berry arm gate thing. I admitted this in the last session. I've actually broken one of those. It was very awkward. The arm came down on my roof rack and it snapped in half. And I promise I was paying attention driving, but that's another story for another time. But you're not going to get very far in a car with no windows. So this is the image I want you in your mind to think. If I wait until the performance review to give my employee performance feedback, it is like I'm driving from Berry to LA in a car with no windows, and maybe I'll, like jump out of the car and look around in San Diego, which is 126 miles away from LA. I found out. It's just a terrible idea. Folks need feedback consistently. If you think you're driving, I'm looking at the road, I'm getting my GPS, I'm getting information over and over and over and over and over and over again in very bite-sized chunks so that I can interact with that and affects my performance. Okay. So you might be thinking, okay, so since we need performance feedback, then I'm probably going to be having these long, awkward conversations about poor performance. So what's the best way to do that? And the answer is to not have a long, awkward conversation about poor performance. The best way to have those is to eliminate the need. So we'll talk about that. It's not that they don't ever happen, but we're going to try to eliminate the occurrence and frequency of those. So starting with yourself, before you ever give an employee feedback, start with yourself and say, could I have done something better? Did I clearly communicate expectations? Did I give feedback? Is the behavior that I'm seeing a direct result of something that I did? And so start there. The second best way to have challenging conversations is to not wait until it's a challenging conversation. So what we're going to do is introduce a feedback model that is oriented on future behavior with a formula that makes it easy to do this quickly. And when I say quickly, I mean in 15 to 20 seconds, but over and over and over again, so that it's consistent, it's normal, it's not scary to the employee. Okay. All right. So before we introduce that model, let's look at the purpose of feedback. So the purpose of feedback is to adjust future behavior. All right. Feedback is not focused on the past. So in this model, we're not going to be digging into the reasons why they're late or why they did a particular action. We're focused on correcting future behavior or reinforcing future behavior that's positive. So we're going to avoid power struggles and those things. We're not punishing. We're not digging into the past. It's not that there's not a place for those conversations. It's just in our performance feedback, we're looking at the future. Okay. All right. Who has ever heard of the feedback sandwich? Okay. Can I have somebody volunteer to explain what that is?
You have really great hair. I'm going to fire you if you're late again. I like the shoes that you have that go here.
Oh man, Ginger, that was amazing. Yeah, so you are giving a positive comment, a negative comment, and a positive comment. Now this is a very common technique. It's all over the internet. Pretty much anytime you Google feedback, this is the first thing that shows up. And we're going to take it out of our diet.
Yes.
So our feedback model is gluten-free. Sorry, as a dad joke, I apologize. But some problems with the feedback sandwich. The biggest one is it's confusing. So give me a nod if you've ever used a feedback sandwich and the person you've talked to left not understanding what you were really trying to say. Okay. So it's confusing. It gives an equal weight to all three things. And oftentimes we're either like creating something inauthentically, honestly, to be positive about in the moment, so it doesn't hurt as bad. And the Beth Wanson, who's the author of Mastering Feedback, Everything You've Never Been Told About Giving Feedback, made this comment: the feedback sandwich only serves the person delivering the feedback, while it leaves the receiver confused. All right. So it's more about your own feelings about not wanting to be harsh, not wanting to be mean, not wanting to be unkind, and less about what's clear to the employee and what they need to know. All right. Because, you know, the comments aren't equal, as Ginger so eloquently stated. That was Ginger in the back, right? Okay. That you know, how nice your shoes are, your hair is, has nothing to do with you know, you're about to get fired. So they're not equal statements, and they're inauthentic, and it's confusing. So you might be saying, all right, if I'm not going to use the sandwich, if I'm going to pull that out of my diet, what should I do? We're going to use this feedback formula. Okay. This is a simple formula that works for positive and negative, or positive and constructive feedback in a very simple way. And this is very similar to what Marcus mentioned in his SBO model. Feedback equals observation plus implication plus expectation. F equals O plus I plus E. Feedback is observation, implication, and expectation. And we always get permission first. So what this would look like: can I give you some feedback? When you submit your time card by the deadline, you get paid on time, and I spend more of my time mentoring staff. Can you continue to do that? Yeah, sure. Why not? Right. Hey, when you're late for your shift, someone has to cover for you. It makes them late for class. Can you please be on time tomorrow? Yeah, okay. Hey, can I give you some feedback? When you're early for your shift, it allows for a smooth transition. Several of our staff told me how much they appreciate it. Can you keep being early? Sure. So in this model, positive and constructive feedback looks exactly the same, and it goes through these same 4 steps. Step 1, permission. Can I give you some feedback? And if you hate the word feedback, or you just, you know, think you don't have to say feedback, you could say, can I share an observation? But the key here is we're using consistent language that so that you know and your employee knows this is a feedback moment that is clear. And so by doing this regularly, we're disarming that so it's not as scary. All right, interaction time. Is it okay for the employee to say no? Can I give you some feedback? Can they say no? What do you think? I see some nods. Can somebody, does somebody want to speak to your body language?
Yes, I would say they can say no, they don't want the feedback. That doesn't mean they don't still get it.
Okay. All right. What does somebody else say?
Maybe find out what the challenge is. And then
Okay.
is it at a different time, or is this just a bad time for you?
Yeah, usually it's what a no really means, or what we want to interpret that as, is not this moment, but yes, we're going to get the feedback, just not at this moment. So it's, hey, can I give you some feedback? Is it all right if I finish this email first? Sure. Hey, can I give you some feedback? All right, right now I'm putting the canoe trailer away. Can I finish putting away the canoes? And then, yeah, sure. So it's not, as you said, they're not going to not receive it, but they can say no to this moment. And that's okay. If you've ever had a moment where you were doing something that was taking most of your brain power and you didn't have the ability to listen intently, you would want that same respect as well. All right. So like, oh yeah, as soon as I finish this, I can give you my full attention. That's okay. And so, all right. If now's not a good time, when would a good time be? And if they're putting it off, then yes, you have to step in with your role power and say, all right, sounds like that's not working. Let's do this. But the idea here is, we want to honor their choice, and acknowledge the reason, but then not put that off, and just, we want them to be as open to receiving feedback as we can. So let's not allow extra barriers in the way if we don't have to. So can I give you some feedback? Permission, step one. Step two, observation. This is what you saw, you heard, you witnessed, what was reported. These are behaviors, all right? You did not observe anyone having a bad attitude. All right, a bad attitude is not observable. That's an interpretation of what. So somebody give me some examples of behaviors that you can actually see, hear, smell, taste, or touch that are associated with having a bad attitude.
Body language.
Okay, body language, for example.
Rolling eyes.
Okay, rolling eyes. That's a common one. My 10-year-old has started rolling her eyes, and I'm not thrilled about that.
Their tone of voice and their interactions.
Yeah, their tone of voice. Maybe they're using dismissive language, like, whatever, or short words, or whatever that behavior is. We're going to zero in on the behavior in the observation. So when you roll your eyes, I find that disrespectful. Can you please not roll your eyes? Done. So it's not you have a bad attitude, because that's something that's where the power struggle happens when you are getting into those interpretations. We want to just focus on the behavior change. All right. Step three, why does it matter? So this is the impact or outcome of the behavior. When you are leading a tour and you're just playing on your phone instead of interacting with parents, it makes Barry look bad. Okay. That does not show the kind of welcoming attitude we want for our school. All right. When you are mowing the lawns and playing on your phone, you drive over the flowers, I don't know. So, but what we're doing is we're building a bridge between the behavior and why this matters. And this doesn't have to be this long drawn out thing. Hey, when you're late, it makes everyone else cover for you, or when you're on time, it makes things run smoothly. So this is just, but it's important that they have at least a reason, a why in which this matters, especially if that reason is greater than just it's against the policy. All right. And then lastly, we're saying this is the expectation. And so for constructive feedback, we're saying, please do this new behavior instead or next time. And for positive feedback, we're saying, yes, you did the behavior we want. Please do that again. And well, but they did that. Aren't they supposed to know? No, we're going to tell them. We're going to say, yes, that's the behavior I want to see. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to acknowledge that. Please continue doing that. All right. Otherwise, they're going to guess. All right. Employees in every survey about management skills and behaviors, they always say, we want more feedback. So we're going to do that as much as possible. Okay. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're focused on observable behavior and future behavior. All right. We're not saying, hey, you're lazy and you have a bad attitude. You're saying, yesterday, you did not complete your assigned tasks. If you have questions or concerns about your workload, can you please talk to me before your shift ends? That's the expected behavior. We're making it very clear what we want from them so that they don't have to guess. All right. All right, we're going to practice. So we see the formula there. What we're going to do is pair up. So find a partner. One of you is a supervisor. One of you is a student worker. The supervisor is going to give the student worker one positive and one constructive piece of feedback using this model. And if we have time, then you guys will switch roles. Make sense? And when you see me waving and shouting, it'll be time to bring it back in. Sound good? All right. Give me a thumbs up if you understand the instructions. Find a partner. Decide who's the supervisor and student worker, and give some feedback using the formula.
Would you like to be the student or the supervisor?
I'm doing is a smaller TV dealing with not as much in-person. Also,
Yeah.
so basically, I'm like getting ready for receive.
All right. Well done. Well done. Can you guys hear me?
That's what.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Let's awesome. Great practice. Let's take a second. Let me hear from someone who received feedback. What was that experience like?
It was really clear, which I appreciated.
Okay, it was clear and you appreciated that. What else? What did somebody else experience?
It felt supported rather than like shameful or finger pointing.
Mm-hmm.
The
go.
feedback
ahead.
provided a specific situation and
Mhm.
an area in which I could improve in.
Because I think that's even something Marcus mentioned this morning was a specific situation, not, you're late all the time. It's you were late for your shift yesterday. Okay. All right. What about giving the feedback? What was that experience like for you as the supervisor?
The formula made me have to think about bringing clarity to what I'm asking and providing feedback for.
Okay. Can you give an example?
So in your head, you think you're gonna provide feedback in one way, but then when you put it into the formula, you realize that, you're not being specific about how it's affecting the team and like the impact of what's happening. And so you have to kind of work on that a little bit more and find the clarity in it to present the information.
Okay. Awesome. Love that. All right. Anyone else? What was your experience giving the feedback?
It felt empowering to have a system,
Okay.
not something fake, but something just to kind of know that you're hitting the main points to be able to hold the conversation.
Yeah. And the predictability is helpful for both the supervisor and the employee. They know what's coming. They know if you mention, hey, can I give you some feedback? It's not, oh, well, clear the calendar. I'm going to be like, let me get a pint and Ben & Jerry's because I'm going to be crying tonight, because we have a 2-hour, so love it. So do y'all think this is something that would be fairly easy to implement with your student? Okay, perfect. All right, so some final thoughts. Wrong button. Okay, anytime you change your behavior as a supervisor, you should always tell your people you're changing your behavior. Hey team, I just learned a new method of giving feedback that I'm going to start doing. It works like this. So expect this from me. So your employees should never have to guess why you've changed your supervision behaviors, your management behaviors. So tell them. It's otherwise they're like, all right, they just started doing this thing one day. If you need a reason, say you went to a feedback workshop and you learned a new way to do it. You can ask for, but when you change, when you tell your people about, I'm changing my management behaviors, you can invite them into that to say, hey, this is new for me. I learned a new method of doing this. I want to practice this. Can you please help me continue to do this with you? And then they join you in that growing process, as opposed to, because as a supervisor, you don't have to have it all figured out just yet. All right. As Marcus mentioned this morning, in a performance review, no surprises. So they should, because we're doing feedback all the time, we're doing, I think the words he used was a regular cadence of communication. They're not learning about something that they need to fix for the very first time when they get that performance review. All right. So no surprises. Any questions on anything we've covered today? Okay. Some additional resources. If you enjoyed this workshop, feel free to give us a shout out on social media. My company is called WorkPlay Solutions, and we're at WorkPlay Soul on the different socials. I have a podcast, which Mark Hunsaker is a upcoming guest, so you'll be able to hear that episode soon. And lastly, as we think about, all right, so what do I do leaving this workshop? Two things. If you want to start and focus on the positive feedback, give it like crazy. So as much positive feedback as you can give. All right, make that normal so that when somebody hears the, can I hear some feedback? It's not an immediate cringe fear response from your employee. The other thing we're going to do is, here's your homework assignment. Make a list of 10 job behaviors that you can give positive feedback on, that are specific to whatever roles you supervise. So just make it easy on yourselves so that you, regardless of anything that happens in the shift, you already know 10 things you can say to one of your staff members that they did that's positive. All right. So and I'm being literal, like write those things down. All right. Any other thoughts, epiphanies, or knock jokes? All right. Thank you all. I appreciate being able to spend my morning with you. Have a great Supervisor Summit. That's it.
Thank you.